right, welcome back again with another tutorial where we would be learning about for loops. All right, so we have already seen how while loop works. Why do we need update expression? Why is it so important? And what will happen if you do not write update expression? So that was something which we needed to think about. But now if I talk about for loops, let me just quickly create a new file and write down for loop. And now we have a new file in front of us. How do we write a for loop? So basically, if I talk about for loop, something looks like this. Let me just quickly comment this. Yeah. All right. So for there is a looping variable. You remember we talked about looping variable while we were working here. So this one is I is equal to 1 is a looping variable, right? Similarly, so basically I would be here in iterable. Now, what is this iterable? Iterable usually means that something that can be iterated, or you can say looped, like you're continuously looping on it. Okay, so that's what is known. That is what iterable means. And then we have the body of loop. So the main thing which you should see over here that we do not have any updation statement for our for loops. All right, so now let's do something. Let's just quickly jump in. But before that, one more thing, that you see this word over here that is in written. In over here is an operator that helps us to iterate over the object and extract one value at a time from it and then put it in the looping variable. This goes on until the sequence of the value ends. Thus, we do not need to separate the condition to terminate our loop. It will automatically end when it will reach the end of the sequence. And in is also known as inclusion operator. So this in is also known as inclusion operator. Do remember this. This is very important for your interviews. They can ask these things. All right, or maybe it can be asked in your school or college, wherever you are studying. This question is definitely important, whatever you're working on. All right, now let's move one step ahead in this topic. There is something that is known as range function. All right, so we would be using range function over here, and range function takes in 3 parameters, that is start, stop, and step. All right, so have a look at this. There is a function which is known as range. It has 3 parameters. This is start, it is stop, and it is step. All right, now start here is the value that we want to start our range sequence from. Then we have the stop, which we actually want to end the sequence at. Okay, and then step is how many steps we are taking basically. So you remember update, which we were giving the update. So this is basically the update thingy over here. And by default, if you don't write anything, it will just write down over here 1. That means if you do not give any number for step, by default, it's 1. It will take 1 step at a time. Now, actually, I told you so many things right now, but let's do the same thing again. That is printing from 1 to 10, and let's see whether we can do it with for loop or not. All right, so what does it say? For looping variable over here, right? So for I, that is our looping variable, in, that is inclusion operator, range, this is the function. So let's start from 1. Let me first show you by writing 10 what happens. And then let me take a step as 1, which is updating every time. That is why we have 1. And then you have this print I, because we need to definitely print it, right? So now if I run this, have a look. Do you see it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I've written 10 over here. Now here comes the concept of what is stop and what is end. So can you tell me what is the difference between end and stop? Like, give it a pause, think about it, and come back soon. All right. So if I tell you that the movie stopped, that means you are somewhere at the middle of the movie. Still there is something left to go, right? But if I say the movie ended, that means it completely did end and there is nothing after that. I'm not talking about part 1, part 2, and part 3. I'm just talking about one movie. Cool. So it ended, that means the show has ended. Simple. Over here, 10 is not ending. It is stopping. That means basically this is a stop. As soon as Python sees 10, it's going from 9.99999 ... and this goes on. As it sees 10, it will just stop here. So that is the reason you see 9 over here, because we are actually working with integers, not with floats. So simply, what do you see? You write down 10 and you'll get an answer before, because it is stopping at there. That means if you need to write down till 10, you need to mention 11 and have a look. There you go. 1 to 10. You have all the values. Now instead, if I write down 2 over here, then this will give you 2 steps. That is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Right? Cool. So now, what did we learn from here? That we can skip Alright. So let me just remove this and let's see what happens again. Alright. So let me just run this again. So it works perfectly well and it is giving one gap. That means we can, if we do not write any step, it will by default take it as 1. And let's try out one more case where I'll not be writing start. That means for I in range 11. And if I run this again, look, it's showing till 10. That means if I would have mentioned something like 5, that means it would have shown 1, 2, 3, 4. It's by default, it starts from 0. Okay. So that means if you do not mention anything at the beginning, that is 1 or 2, so this is start. Where do you need to start from? By default, it starts from 0. All right. So if we skip the start value, the default value is 0. That means if we skip the first value, our loop will start at 0. If we skip the start value, we have to skip the step value as well. Because if we keep the step, it will actually think as if it's the stop value. Okay, that is why. And the default value of step is always 1. We can only, the second thing which you need to remember, that is we can skip only the step value and write start, stop values. The default that I already told you, the default 1 is only considered as the step value. So now you know about for loops. Okay, so you can try writing the different multiplication tables, division tables with the help of the for loop. All right, great. So let it be this much for this video. After this, we would be learning about the jump statements. All right. in the next tutorial. So I would like you to practice about writing down from 1 to 10 and 10 to 1 as well. So the first thing which we will be doing in the next session would be, we'll be printing from 10 to 1, and then we would be proceeding for our jump statements. All right. So that's it for this video. Have a great day. Thank you.